Every year, hundreds of billions of instant noodle packs are eaten around the world. On average, that's about 13 packs for every person on planet. A number large enough to make us believe instant noodles exist for convenience. But what if that isn't the truth? Instant noodles were not created for busy people. They were created for hungry people. After World War II, Japan was a nation in ruins, short on food, short on fuel, often without proper kitchens at all. People stood in long lines just to get a warm bowl of noodles. And from that simple question, instant noodles were born. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. What instant noodles really are. When most people think about instant noodles, they imagine something raw that becomes food only after hot water is added. But that isn't what instant noodles truly are. Instant noodles are not uncooked noodles. They are noodles that have already been cooked once, then carefully dried so they can be brought back to life later. Inside the factory, the noodles are mixed, shaped, and heated. They are steamed or fried to set their structure, then dried to remove moisture, allowing them to stay safe for months without refrigeration. So, when you pour hot water into a cup or bowl, you are not really cooking. You are simply rehydrating something that was prepared long before it reached your kitchen. The exact steps behind that process, the machines, the heat, and the timing, come later. But to understand why instant noodles were designed this way in the first place, we need to go back to the moment they were first imagined. The origins of instant noodles, born from loss, hunger, and one question: a comfortable beginning before the fall. Ando Momofuku was not born into hardship. He grew up in a family that understood business, trade, and stability. In his early years, food was not something to fear losing, but history had other plans. War has a way of erasing comfort without asking permission. By the time World War II reached its end, everything familiar had collapsed: cities, businesses, and the quiet certainty that tomorrow would be better than today. A nation on its knees. Post-war Japan was not just rebuilding buildings. It was rebuilding daily life. Food was scarce, fuel was scarce, jobs were scarce. People stood in long, silent lines, not for luxury, but for survival. A warm bowl of noodles was often the only hot thing they would eat all day. Momofuku saw those lines again and again, and each time the same thought returned to him. Why should something as basic as a hot meal be so hard to reach? Losing everything at midlife. At an age when most people hope for stability, Momofuku lost it all. Business failures, debt, a forced move into a small, bare home with almost nothing left inside. At 48 years old, he was starting over from zero. For many, this would have been the end of ambition. For Momofuku, it became the beginning of obsession. Hunger was no longer an abstract idea. It was something he lived alongside. The idea that would not let go. He did not dream of luxury food. He did not dream of profit. He dreamed of something humble. Food that could reach anyone, anywhere, with almost no effort. Noodles were familiar, but fresh noodles spoiled quickly and required fuel to cook. The real problem was not flavor. It was water. If water could be removed and added back safely later, food could travel, wait, and still feed people when needed. A discovery in an ordinary kitchen. The answer did not come from science textbooks. It came from watching food behave. While cooking at home, Momofuku noticed something simple. Noodles placed in hot oil lost moisture rapidly, yet kept their structure. This was the missing step. Cook the noodles first. Remove the water in a controlled way. Leave behind tiny spaces where water could return. In 1958, the first instant noodles were born. They were not immediately loved. They were more expensive than regular noodles. Some people called them unnecessary. But they worked. And in hard times, reliability matters more than tradition. From emergency food to everyday life. As Japan recovered, instant noodles quietly stayed. Office workers ate them, laborers relied on them, families kept them on shelves, just in case. Later came new ideas: noodles in cups, noodles for people without bowls, even noodles designed for space. What began as a response to hunger became part of everyday life around the world, not because it was clever, but because it answered a very human need. How instant noodles are made. The convenience of instant noodles does not begin in the kitchen. It begins much earlier, inside the factory, where every step answers one quiet question: how can food survive time and still feel familiar when it returns? Stage 1. From flour to a stable dough. Everything starts with wheat flour. Water and salt are added, not casually, but with precision. Too much moisture, and the noodles fall apart. Too little, and they crack before they can even be shaped. Once mixed, the dough is allowed to rest. This pause is not wasted time. It gives the gluten a chance to relax, making the dough easier to work with and more resilient later on. Only when the dough is calm does the process move forward. Stage 2. Rolling and cutting, giving noodles their character. The dough passes through a series of rollers, each one thinning it gently. This is not just about making it flat. Rolling stretches the dough, strengthening its structure and giving the noodles their familiar bite. When the sheet reaches the right thickness, it is cut into strands. Here, decisions are made that people will later taste: how thick the noodles feel, how they curl, how they hold broth. At this stage, the noodles already resemble what we recognize, but they are not yet food. Stage 3. Steaming. When noodles are truly cooked. Steaming is the moment when noodles become noodles. Heat sets the starch and protein, locking the structure in place. From this point on, the noodles are fully cooked. Everything that follows is about preservation, not preparation. Stage 4. Removing water, creating the future. This is the heart of instant noodles. The cooked noodles are either quickly fried or carefully dried. The goal is simple: remove moisture without destroying shape. As water leaves, tiny spaces remain behind. These spaces are invisible, but essential. They are what allow hot water, later on, to rush back in and bring the noodles to life again. Stage 5. Shaping, seasoning, and waiting. Finally, the noodles are shaped into compact blocks, square or round, designed to fit packaging and rehydrate evenly. Seasonings are prepared separately, dried and sealed alongside the noodles. Wrapped in protective layers, the noodles wait, not as unfinished food, but as a meal, patiently paused in time. Lesser-known truths about instant noodles. Over time, instant noodles became so familiar that many of their stories faded into the background. What remains on the shelf looks simple, but behind that simplicity are choices most people never notice. One of the first surprises is this: when instant noodles were first introduced, they were not cheap. They actually cost more than fresh noodles. For a while, they were seen as unnecessary, almost indulgent. It was only later, when people realized how dependable they were, that their value became clear. Another quiet truth lies in the noodle block itself. Across brands and countries, noodle blocks are often quite similar. The real personality of instant noodles usually comes from the seasoning, the broth powders, oils, and dried toppings. That is where culture, taste, and memory are layered in. Then there is the shape. The gentle curl of instant noodles is not just for appearance. It helps the noodles pack tightly, rehydrate evenly, and hold broth more comfortably. Form, in this case, quietly serves function. One detail many people overlook is the printed production date on the package. Today, we take it for granted. But this practice grew out of concern, out of a desire to protect people and build trust in packaged food. Over time, it became a global standard, far beyond instant noodles themselves. And perhaps the most unexpected truth of all, instant noodles eventually left Earth. They were adapted for space travel, designed to be eaten in zero gravity. A food born from hunger on the ground became reliable enough for astronauts in orbit. By then, instant noodles were no longer poor food. They had become practical food, meals built for uncertainty, wherever it exists. Practical ways people actually use instant noodles. Instant noodles were never meant to be perfect food. They were meant to be dependable food. And over time, people learned small ways to make them work better. One simple habit is to control the seasoning. Instead of adding the entire packet at once, many people start with half. They taste first, then decide. This small pause gives back something instant noodles often take away: choice. Another quiet adjustment is timing. Leaving noodles in hot water too long makes them soft and heavy. Stopping just a little earlier keeps their structure intact. It's a reminder that even quick food responds to care. Many people also treat instant noodles as a base, not a finished meal. An egg, a few vegetables, or a bit of protein can change the balance. Not to make noodles healthy, but to make the meal feel complete. There is also value in knowing what instant noodles are not. They are not meant to replace every meal. They are not meant to solve nutrition. They exist for moments when time, energy, or resources are limited. Used with awareness, instant noodles do exactly what they were designed to do: provide warmth, comfort, and nourishment when circumstances are uncertain. Instant noodles are easy to dismiss. They sit quietly on shelves, inexpensive, familiar, almost invisible. But their story tells us something deeper. They were not created to save time for busy lives. They were created to offer warmth when resources were gone, to provide nourishment when fuel was scarce, and to give people a sense of dignity in uncertain moments. Every block of instant noodles carries a simple idea: that food should wait patiently for people, not the other way around. Behind the convenience is careful thought. Behind the speed is preparation done in advance. And behind the simplicity is a reminder that the most lasting inventions are often built to solve very human problems. Instant noodles did not change the world by being extraordinary. They changed it by being dependable. And sometimes, that is enough. If you've ever reached for instant noodles on a hard day, tell me in the comments, what's the one flavor you still remember most? Our team uses publicly available online sources and AI-assisted research tools to create this video. We strive for accuracy, but errors or omissions may still occur, so please view this content for entertainment purposes only, and use your own judgment when considering any information presented. Nothing here is intended as professional, legal, medical, financial, or safety advice, nor as encouragement for risky or illegal actions. We do not promote hate, harassment, violence, or misleading information, and we work to comply with YouTube's community guidelines, terms of service, copyright and fair use rules, and all applicable laws. If you believe any part of this video infringes your rights or violates YouTube policy, please contact us